This is Tommy's Outdoors, episode 26. And this is another episode dedicated to running. We already had 3 episodes dedicated to running. 2 episodes dedicated to running. This one is the 3rd one. So first was episode 3, running with Mike Kisan, where Mike was sharing with us his story. And then a little later, Mike returned to the podcast with his 2 buddies, Vinny and Fozzie, in episode 11. So again, we had a very good chat about running and everything around it, and the plans and how the guys train and so on and so on. So today, my guest is Partick Mercie. Partick is a Belgian in Ireland, in Limerick more specifically. And Partick, of course, knows the guys from episode 11. And here himself, he just has a tremendous record as a runner. Maybe not so much as a competitive runner, but as a, like a recreational, huge volume runner, I would describe that. He ran like an insane number of marathons, and he, like putting a lot of miles. But what's interesting, he has a very specific attitude towards running, and that attitude is perhaps just an extension of his approach to life. So at this point, it's fair to say that, or mention that, Partick is also a life coach. And interesting thing is that things that he teaches or coaches people, he applies to himself, and he applies that to his running and his running practice and or routine or training. Very interesting, and it was very interesting to look how some theoretical concepts he is applying in practice, and he's applying that onto outdoors activity, running. So I think it's going to be very interesting episode of the podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, Partick Mercie. Partick, welcome to the show. With us today, Partick Mercie, or Partick Mercie, or Mercie. Maybe you introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, Tommy. It's Partick Mercie.
All right.
That's how the people here in Ireland call me.
Right.
I've been called other things, but like Murphy. I regularly get called Murphy.
Murphy?
Yeah, because it's close. When I say Partick Mercie, it kind of doesn't register, and people here go like, Murphy, yeah, that's okay. So I get calls from the ESB at home going like, we're looking for Partick Murphy, and I go like, there's no Murphy living here, so it's a bit of a funny side story. Like, yeah.
Very good. Partick, you are primarily, I don't know if primarily a runner, but here for the purpose of the podcast, you are a runner, and you have a tremendous resume of running, but you're also a businessman, you're also a life coach. Maybe let's start from the beginning and let's introduce a little bit more to our listeners what you do, and then nice segue. How'd you start with running, and was it something that you're doing always, or like recent development?
Okay, for the last 10 years, I've been working. I worked before in hospitality management. I worked in retail management. I worked in corporate management and all of that until one day, I got a severe stress attack. Oh. Inside in the shop, which masqueraded as a heart attack, but it was a severe stress attack, and I had to reevaluate my life because I wasn't actually going to make 50, and I'm 52 now. Wow. So what happened was, like, I had to take a week of work. At that time, I was a manager for Extravision here in Limerick. I had taken a step back from corporate management because I just burnt out. Yeah. After 2 years in corporate management, I was working for a cable and wireless, if you know, telecoms company. Yeah. I was the European escalation manager, so if Ryanair website went down, Partick had to fix it yesterday. Wow. Do you know, that kind of stuff? Like, so you last 2 years in jobs like that.
I don't blame her that she said I wasn't making 50 because it sounds like sounds like that.
So that stuff, right? So I now 10 years ago, then I reevaluated. And I started as a life coach. I did a life coaching course with the Irish Life Coach Institute, because a lot of people call themselves coaches now, but mine is accredited and diploma, and it's a recognised diploma now in Ireland as well. So I'm a qualified life and business coach. I also, as you can see in the office here, I'm an NLP practitioner.
Right.
So that's neuro-linguistic programming. You know, neuroplasticity. That's about like changing behavioural attitudes, etc. And a motivational speaker. So that's kind of what I do with the Intentional Academy. And then I also run Quickest Works Marketing for my sins, which is a Twitter-based networking
Big shout out to
company.
Quickest Works Marketing and all the county hours.
And all the county hours, yes, which you know.
There's a lot of guests of the podcast came from that. It's a tremendous networking opportunity. So
it is.
So it's great. Okay, and so how does that running fits into that picture? Were you always running since a kid, or like was it part of your evaluation what you're gonna do in life?
I did 3 sports when I was a kid, a young kid. Martial arts, soccer, and
what martial arts?
Judo.
Judo. Oh, nice.
Yes.
Great.
When I was a kid, because like my dad said, you need to be able to look after yourself and defend yourself. Remember, he came from a different era. He was born just before the Second World War and all that. You know, his father was fighting in the Second World War while he was a kid, and so he believed you had to look after yourself. So he did. We went into both my sisters and me went into judo.
Very good.
That was one thing.
I'm doing martial arts for many years. I'm a big. I think it's tremendous for development of physical and mental development. It's
Absolutely.
Great. All right.
And there was soccer and there was running.
Okay.
But then about the age of 16, I got picked by the local soccer team. And they said, like, it's either or. And they were kind of
it's either
very persuasive, running or soccer.
Running or soccer. Why is it? Because
the training.
Okay, because
the training
of
class
commitment to what you do.
Plus, I now know, and most runners will know, that if you're a runner and you try and play football, it's easier to get injured. And if you're a football player and you start running, it's easier to get injured because they're different movements.
Yeah.
One is a similar kind of movement for long periods of time. The other is short bursts of speed with twisting and turning.
With twisting and turning. This is what screws up your ligaments.
Yes, exactly. So I picked soccer at the time. Even when I arrived in Ireland 24 years ago from Belgium, I played soccer there as well. Here in junior soccer with Corbally United and Abbey Rovers here in the junior leagues.
How many years ago you arrived to Ireland?
24.
24 years ago, okay.
Yeah, this next Christmas will be 24 years,
Wow, so more than twice as long as I am.
And I'm still here.
Very good, very good. There has to be something about Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful country.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so then you pick soccer. And you train soccer, and what happened then?
Well, so you get too old for soccer quite quickly. So once you hit the early 30s, that was it. Like I was running around the field with 18-year-olds who, like, you couldn't. So once I get to like 34, I think 33, 34, I quit. Soccer, and that's where the problem was. When I was getting the high powered, the job in cable and wireless and all that, I was doing no sport anymore. I was playing a bit of golf, thinking that was sport. And so I don't mean to upset anyone who plays golf. But
even the tagline for the podcast is like everything outdoors, even golfing. So
excellent.
We are good. We are good with golfing.
So, but I wasn't doing anything. So I got to 16 stone as well.
Right.
I was quite heavy and
Do you want this mic to be a little bit higher?
No, I'm fine. I'm comfortable.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just asking because that we have a microphone set up, and I thought.
No, that's fine. I'm fine. Thanks.
Anytime you're not comfortable, we're gonna hit the pause button and we're gonna put it up.
I'm comfortable. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you're stopped. So this is very unhealthy to do a lot of sport and then stop. So was it like a sudden stop?
After the soccer. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was, absolutely. And that's when I was in the jobs I'm talking about in corporate management, which means like I was traveling quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you get taken out for dinner, there's beer, there is like this kind of thing. You're working a lot of hours.
And wasn't anything kind of like in you kind of longing for the physical activity and training and everything?
I know. I was completely concentrated on
work.
The
corporate devils.
Which I know is a stupid thing to do, but like anyway.
Right. So I know that I read a paper long ago about like if you do sports, especially if you do regular sports, and then you stop, you cannot just stop. It's very unhealthy for your heart. You need to kind of wind it down and decrease. And I remember, again, back in the year, I had a friend who was doing martial arts with us, and he was an instructor. He was a very talented guy, and he decided to stop. And for religious reasons,
Okay.
which is like we were all shocked. Because he was such a talented guy, and he's such a gift for movement and everything, and he just stopped like cold turkey. And sure enough, after a couple of years, he developed heart problems. And one of the other guys was a doctor. He said, like, you can't do that. You want to stop, that's fine, but kind of wind it down. Okay, so you're done the same thing. You were training a couple times a week. You stopped, and just like everything went downhill from that point. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Literally and figuratively, yeah. My health went, and that's why I got the health issues. You know, I was working hard. I was eating unhealthy. I was smoking at the time.
Right.
I went into I smoked 30 cigarettes a day.
30.
You know, yeah.
That's more than a pack.
Yeah, I know.
Oh god.
So that was all combined. You know, like plus you're drinking more, etc.
Yeah.
So I was living really unhealthy, which was probably why I got the problem with the stress attack.
Yeah.
You know, like that. So that wasn't healthy. It was during the time I was working for Extravision.
Yeah.
And we had a very good guy there. There was an army guy who was in charge of training.
Yeah.
Bill Hallidan was his name. And he was an ex-army man.
Right.
Army officer.
Yeah.
And he was in charge of the training in Extravision. So he is not a stupid guy. He said, you're a very good like manager. You know how to, you know, like maybe I can help you. And he gave me a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Which is Stephen Covey's book. A lot of people have heard of this.
Yeah,
right?
it's
so I read through that and I went like, I came across coaching. So I went, oh, cool, life coaching. So I did the diploma course and quit Extravision. And that's 10 years ago. While I was there, then Extravision were with Barrettstown. I'm coming to the running now. Extravision were sponsoring Barrettstown. Barrettstown is a holiday camp in County Meath, I think, for children with serious illnesses or who have leukemia, etc.
Yeah.
And it's to take them out of the hospital environment into a holiday camp for a week.
Outdoors.
De-institutionalize them.
Right.
And have some fun. Right? And we had management meetings there with Extravision, and I went like, I want to do something for them. And they said, well, we need people to run Dublin Marathon. And that was like the end of 2007. So I said, I'll do Dublin Marathon 2008 for you. I'll start training. I used to be fit. Maybe I can do it again.
And you started training for Dublin Marathon.
February 2008, I was my first training run on a cold day. I ran out of my house, and less than 1 mile, it was actually 3/4 mile further, I had to stop and walk back home. I could not run a mile in February 2008. I just could not run a mile.
Wow.
And I don't mind saying it because I was crying on the way home.
Yeah.
Because I was fit like before. I used to be fit. Like,
so you said like I should be able to do that.
Yeah. And I wasn't able to run a mile. But the thing is, I had made a promise to Barrettstown and to the company that I was going to do this. Like, you know, they were making
and you being man of your word.
Yeah, well, I did. Plus, I used to be fit, so I said, why not? Maybe I can get fit again. So, like, after about a week, I could run 1.5 miles, 2 miles, and you know, then you keep going, and then they talk about you need to do long runs. And my first long run was something like 10 miles, and I said, like, geez, I'm never going to make 26, you know, because 10 miles wasn't easy, and then 12 and then 14, 16, 18. I remember my first 20-mile run, and not being able to walk for 2 or 3 days afterwards. You know,
that's a good run. It was a good run.
It was good. But then October 2008 came, and I really enjoyed Dublin Marathon.
What strikes me is like I think in episode 3 on the podcast we had a Mike Kisan, which you know.
I know Mike, yeah.
And his story is very striking similar.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he was smoking, you know, however many packs a day and however much coffee a day. Very unhealthy life, and then he was watching Dublin Marathon, and he saw this guy, like a heavily overweight guy who was running,
right?
And he said like, I can't do that, I can't do that, and so like it's the same event and same kind of like a, you know, kind of you need to hit the bottom to kind of bounce
Absolutely,
back. So that's very similar story to yours.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the Dublin Marathon rolls in. 2008.
I really enjoyed the whole day. It was absolutely amazing. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. All the way through the 26 miles. It was just a wonderful day. Dublin Marathon is a great event.
Yeah.
especially for starting runners, because there's a crowd everywhere. The people from Dublin come out in their tens of thousands. There is a couple of
and you think it's a good thing?
Yeah. The people are by the street, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so you
because
get the support.
I think that for the because support.
Yeah.
My thinking is like a novice runner maybe kind of intimidated.
Right.
Because all these people and like I'm not that such a good runner and whatever.
But there's so many people running at your pace as well.
Okay.
There's so many people who run the same pace as you.
So you don't feel like
I'm a loser or, you know, that kind of thing. Like,
right.
So I totally enjoyed it. Absolutely. Now, I didn't walk properly for a week afterwards. I must admit, like.
Yeah.
So I wasn't still back to complete fitness, but I finished it and it was really, it was great. And I promised my wife, after I finished, I says, I'm never doing this again. I promise you. I don't want to go through this again.
Yeah.
This was on the way home because I couldn't get out of the car. We stopped halfway to get a coffee and I literally could not get out of the car.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm never doing this again. And believe me or not, my second marathon wasn't until 2 years later, a year and a half later.
Right.
I didn't run another marathon for a year and a half later. So I started doing 10Ks and 5Ks. So I kept running.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed it. I started to really enjoy it.
So that sparked your kind of your memories and your love for running.
Yeah.
Because I was doing running and now you had that one success under your belt, finishing the marathon. And I said, okay, I'll keep running.
But the keeping running was actually from the beginning a thing. It was a love thing rather than because I tried golf and I hated it, and I tried cycling and I hated it. And when I started running, I actually enjoyed it.
Why did you hate cycling?
It's boring.
How's running not boring?
No, because you see, cycling is thanks. That's a great question. For me, this is just a personal experience. I'm not saying for me, cycling is like you need to pay too much attention.
Oh.
To the potholes, to cars, to this. Running, I can switch off. I can meditate. Now I meditate while I'm running. So sometimes I forget where I've been.
Yeah,
I'm just running, and I see the car. Like I won't run.
I think the same
like.
thing goes for cycling.
Oh, right, okay.
Maybe you just wasn't proficient enough with the bicycle.
Yeah, maybe not.
You had to kind of consciously pay attention to the potholes.
Yeah.
But I get you. Yeah, with cycling, the thing is that, like, to me, you're traveling at a bigger speed. So you're kind of covering more ground, and there's like more things are happening around you.
Yeah,
perhaps.
I'll give you an example there. It's happened a few times. Like once when I just started running from Corbally here in Limerick, and I ended up nearly in Killaloo, which is 20 kilometres away, without noticing I was running. You know. Yeah. And then you have to run back, obviously.
I know. Oh, but this is happening for me when I cycling.
Okay.
But, you know, and I was cycling the route that I cycled hundreds of times, and so I know every single point, right? And I'm cycling. It's like, hang on a minute, where I am? Am I already past that point where I didn't pass? You
forget.
You just forget. So that's interesting. And on that fact that you said like, oh, I'm never gonna do it again. Again, I think it's episode 11 where again Mike, Vinny, and Fozzie were after completing 24-hour run. And it was like I don't know whether it was a Vinny or Fozzie, and we have a YouTube video on the underneath the podcast. We see like, oh, I'm never gonna do this again with his wife, right? Yeah. And now he organized the
24-hour in Listowel. Yeah, absolutely. That was on this weekend actually. Right, it was good. Yeah. So and then I did do what someone said. There's a beautiful run, Patrick, in Connemara. Okay, I have a brother-in-law. My wife's brother is in the Dublin Marathon committee for the last. 20 years. I don't know. But he's there a long time. And he's like, he knew the guy, Ray O'Connor, who's the head of Marathon Club Ireland now, who was organising this race in Connemara. And he says, you have to go, Patrick. It's really wonderful. But you can do a half marathon if you don't want to do a full. So in 2009, in April, I did the half marathon in Connemara.
Right.
And it was really, really beautiful.
Right.
It's where I discovered.
Was it marathon like on a paved road, or was it like?
It was on the road. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's It's from Linan to Mam Cross is the half marathon, and it's beautiful.
Right.
And you go over one of the Mamturk Mountains near the end. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. So I discovered my love actually for, instead of city running, for country running.
Right.
And so I really enjoyed that. So and that was the half marathon, and then they went like, do you not want to do the full there maybe next year? So that was 2000. That was my second marathon, was Connemara.
But I promised.
2010, yeah. And I really, really enjoyed that day. I remember I said, I'm coming back here next year. That was my first thing.
Right.
So my second marathon was, I'm coming back here next year.
Right.
Because I had a great weekend. We stayed in Uachtarard and all that. And Connemara is gorgeous, right?
Yes.
And we started at Ina Valley. And then you go up towards... Letterfrack and then Tullinan and back. It's so beautiful up there and so peaceful. That, like I said, I want to go back. And I said, well, if I want to go back, maybe I do Dublin again. So I did 2 marathons that year.
All right.
And then it stayed 1 or 2 marathons a year for about 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing 1 or 2 marathons a year.
1 or 2
and then I met a few people from Marathon Club Ireland, and that was the end.
Bad company.
Bad company. You know, Marathon Club Ireland is like a nationwide club.
Yes.
With people who run marathons. So it's a marathon running club. You can be a member of an athletics club and also be a member of Marathon Club Ireland. Mm-hmm. And Marathon Club Ireland is also affiliated to Athletics Ireland.
Okay.
So when I met those guys, and I met a few of them, and we started chatting, and they go like, "Do you know there's other marathons that are really enjoyable doing, you know?"
Yeah.
So I did Cork City Marathon, and then I did Killarney Marathon, and then I did 4 in a year, and then the year after 7. And that's where it all started then. You know?
And tell me, what's the difference for you between the marathon and the half marathon? Is it like not like once you get but I obviously right? It's a distance, but I guess once you get into the fitness level of you can run a marathon or you can run the twice the distance of the marathon. Is it really making any difference whether it's a half marathon or marathon? Are they equally enjoyable, or is there anything?
I think there's the difference is that like half marathons tend to be raced more. Whereas marathons, unless you're in the front, right, with the guys from Kerry Crusaders and all that, right? If you're not in the front with them, like it becomes partially a race and partially a social event.
Okay.
So I can run for 2 hours beside someone and have a chat with them for like 15 miles.
Right.
Do you know, like while running?
Right.
At like 9-minute mile pace. Yeah. And then you can still chat to people when you're doing that. So it became a social circle.
Right.
As well as a sport.
Okay. Well, half marathon, because of a shorter distance, is more competitive.
Yeah, it is. I find less people to chat with and all that. It's more people want to get a time.
Right.
A half marathon,
Okay.
Even the people at the back want to get their time.
Right.
Whereas in a marathon now, like
it's more of a I want to complete that thing, and that's a goal. Just if I'm gonna complete, I'm happy without. Okay, and it's more relaxed.
Yes.
Do you find it more relaxed?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm getting. Okay.
And then if you go to ultra marathons, that's even more so.
Right.
I found that even more of a social scene because it's a smaller group as well. Right, so I find I've only done about I've only done about 7 or 8 ultra marathons, but I find that really enjoyable as well.
Right. What were the distances? What was the longest one?
My longest one has been 40
kilometers.
40 miles.
40 miles.
Yeah.
40 miles. Okay. So are you planning on doing any of those? Like 100 miles, 200?
I don't know. I don't tend to plan a lot in my running. I find that since I stopped wearing a watch and since I stopped planning, I find I just do the things that come to me as maybe I'm going to do this now.
Right. More naturally, you go with the flow.
I am signed up, however, for the Tralee 100k.
Oh, 100k.
Next year.
Right.
Yeah.
So how is it? 80 miles? 62 miles.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 62.
Yeah, around 62 miles, yeah.
Okay.
And that's a beautiful tour because I actually crewed that twice now.
Oh, okay.
I went around with one of the runners twice.
Oh, okay. So that's going to be your longest?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I did 100k before once, but that wasn't a running race. It was it's the Dodentocht in Belgium, and it's called the March of the Death. Okay. It starts at 9 o'clock at night, and you have 24 hours to finish it. Okay. Right? In Tralee, it's 15 hours.
Okay.
So there's a difference. The 24 hours is easier,
Yeah.
Plus, I was in the army then, and we did it in army gear, so we walked a good bit as well.
Okay.
But that's a long time ago.
Very good.
But yeah, so the 100k is going to be the longest. Yeah.
Okay. So listen. So you really develop that running into kind of like your passion. Is that right? It's something that is always on your mind.
I fell in love with running.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Right.
So it's not even a sport as much anymore. It's just something you do because I like doing it.
Right.
It's easy. It's easy to get up in the morning or come home after work at night and just put on the shoes and just go.
Just go running.
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
So, are you doing any training for running, or just your running is your training?
Yeah, I don't go to track. I'm totally the non-runner, if you want, because I don't.
Says the guy who does however many marathons a year. I'm not a runner.
No, what I mean by that is I don't do core, I don't do track, I don't do speed sessions, I don't do I don't do tapering, I don't do any of the things they say in the book you have to do. I don't.
Right.
I actually, but people know me. They know what I'm going to say now to you is I do 3 pints the night before a race. That's my strategy. 3 pints of Smithwick's.
3 pints?
A Smithwick's the night before a race.
Right.
Every single time.
Right.
Because I sleep really well afterwards. And then I wake up in the morning and it's time to go, It's like I'm a non-runner, if you know what I mean. That's kind of like...
Got it.
Because I don't do any of that training, and people often come to me and say, but Patrick, you can, if you start training now, and do this and do that, you can get half an hour faster on the marathon. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah,
I have no interest.
Not interested.
Not interested.
All right. So that's interesting because you're totally non-competitive in your running.
Correct.
Is it fair to say?
Yeah. The only time I got sucked into competitiveness was with myself to get to 100 marathons.
Okay.
And I had promised a friend of mine I would do the 100 marathon at his race in Ballina in North Mayo. Cesare Lubinski. He's up in Mayo. And I promised him I would come and do the 100 marathon with him. And then I found myself all of a sudden, with a few months to go, with only 82 or 3 marathons done. So I had to do 17 marathons in 3 months or something. Or 4 months. And that was the last time I kind of got, I need to get there. And
have you done them?
Oh yeah, I'm at 111 now.
All right, so you've done 17 marathons in 3 months.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I did 10 in 1 month. I think.
All right. How your body felt after that?
Yeah, the funny bit was there was one that was a quad, and I'd never done a quad before. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Avondale in Wicklow.
Yeah.
For the Wicklow Hospice Foundation.
Yes.
They do a quad every year. And I'd never done that before. I'd done 3 in 3 days, but never 4. And my wife came along, Maura came along, and we travelled up to Wicklow on the Wednesday. Stayed in a B&B in Rathdrum near the where the forest is, Avondale Forest. And so that was literally run the marathon, recover, eat dinner, sleep, run the marathon, recover, dinner. Sleep.
Yeah, well.
Did that for 4 days. We drove home on Sunday. I woke up on Monday morning to come to work.
Yeah.
And she turned around and says, I can't believe. You're just walking through the room like nothing. And I said, yeah, I could go for number 5 this morning. It felt so.
Yeah. After how many years it took you? How many years it took you to
I was doing 9
point?
Years of running at that stage.
9 years of running at that stage. Okay. And that's fascinating. I think there is some role plays of genetics into that, right? You gotta be, gifted in some way, just to not get injured. Right, because the people are getting overuse injury all the time.
Yes, and I have one now.
Yeah, okay.
But that's my first one in 3 years.
Right.
And I think the injury thing is it's interesting because it's a bit of a debate. I often think that the injury also comes from the intensity.
Yes.
Right? Do I need to beat 3 hours today? Yeah.
Right.
Do I need to do so many in this month? Or whereas I've learned from playing soccer when I was younger and all that at a nice level, right?
Yeah.
To learn to listen to my body. And I met a few people.
I think did you get that from martial arts?
Probably as well, yeah.
I found if I had to point a one thing, that biggest thing, if someone asked me what is the biggest thing I got from martial arts, I would say just listening to your body and just kind of noticing what's going on, what's happening, and what move can you do.
Yes.
So,
and about 3 or 4 miles into a marathon, I can tell you exactly. If I'm going to go faster or slower that day.
Right.
Your body just tells you.
So but that's a very good point that your non-competitiveness gives you kind of protects you from injuries. Because then if you don't feel right or you feel something, you just take it easy.
I think it was 2015 or 2016. I was 2015. Dublin Marathon. I was standing for was it my 6th or 7th or whatever Dublin Marathon, and just before the race started. The phone strap, the strap of my watch, my watch just broke, and I was like, your watch! I put it in my back pocket. I said, I'll keep looking at it because I was always looking at the watch when I was running. I said, I'll look at it in a while. I forgot to look at it.
Right.
I had the best Dublin Marathon I've ever ran, and I ran a PB without the watch.
Right.
So I kind of went, I never put the watch back on since.
Right. You said like, whoa, hang on a minute.
Yeah. So maybe this, like, if I feel good, I feel good. If I don't feel good, I don't feel good.
Yes.
So I started running without a watch, and now everyone knows I call it naked running.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, you know, it's like running without a watch.
You know what? That's a good point. And this has a name in psychology. I don't remember the name, but this is like the people are getting so fixated on, you know, having an item. And I remember we went running with a friend of my girlfriend, and he's my buddy too. And we supposed to go for a run, and he's battery run out on his iPod or something like that. And he was so bummed out. It's like, oh my God, so here's my running gone, like whatever. Like, it's like, dude, it's just like, you know, forget about it. Like, well, let's go for a run. And I told, so then it impacts you mentally so hard that you're unable to perform. And like, and I even heard a story about a Olympic athlete in gymnastics. I think she had a teddy bear or something that she always hugs or whatever before the performance, and she forgot that. And it was like totally, she's supposed to go for a medal, for an Olympic medal. It was like totally because she was so upset and knock off balance. And my point is like, it's good to not have those things, or at least be able to leave them behind. It's like, all right, I don't have a watch. Right?
Oh no, absolutely. But it's lessons you learn, you know. And like funny, because the lessons I learned from running, I implement in other stuff in your life. So if I would have planned 2017, I would have planned for 24 marathons.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I didn't plan, and because I didn't make any plans, I ran 43. So I believe that setting goals and targets for yourself is often self-limiting, because we only think we're capable of so much.
Yeah.
And if you forget to set targets, but you do something you really enjoy doing, like I do with running, you'll actually beat what you think you're capable of simply by being you.
Yeah.
Rather than by saying, this is the person I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. But that works both ways, doesn't it? Right? It depends on the personality, because if you're not going to set up your goals, you say like, well, you know, so sometimes it is motivating, like, well, I committed to run the 100th marathon with my friend, so I have to do these 17 in 3 months. And otherwise, you wouldn't do that.
And you know what happened? I enjoyed them less.
Yeah.
Because
yes. Yeah, that's true, because you're taking that as a job. Yeah. I recorded a podcast, like there was the other podcast where there was an episode that was called Hobby That Is No Fun Anymore. Yeah. Where you're turning something into a second job. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that with cycling, and quite often, you know, people are on those kind of athlete social media kind of things like Strava and all those. And, you know, obviously they're tracking how many miles a year and a month or whatever. And I noticed, and I fall into that pitfall myself. It's like, I need to do, you know, 100 and 1,000 and 200 kilometers this month, right? And there's a miserable weather, there's a wind, and I have like no pleasure in doing that at all. But I'm putting my gear and I'm just go, and like, do I enjoy it? No, I enjoy it when I was done. But I know what you're saying. I think it works both ways, because then and the other hand is like, I kind of toughen it out, right? You have a pleasure from that. Sure,
you can get gratification from that. There's a difference.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's a difference between instant gratification or doing something because you really love doing it.
Yes.
Regardless of the weather.
Yeah.
And I found that often as a life coach, if I fall back in with that, the less I help my clients set goals, the more they achieve.
Yeah.
So that's from an experience from a life coach. Like, when people stop setting targets for themselves, they first set a direction they want to go in. Based on what they love doing, and then they go into that way and they just achieve stuff. Like, you know, I had I don't name names of my clients. I had one guy who's a sports broadcaster, right, a young guy, and I say he, instead of like him, just, I need to be in that radio station by then, whatever. And then it didn't work, and he fell, he got into mental health problems and whatever. And now I just said, like, do this, do that, because if you love doing this, what if you did this? What if you tried that, whatever he did? And now people are starting to take notice of him because he's doing things that other people aren't doing.
Yeah.
purely because he loves them.
Because there's that passion.
Absolutely. So
is
without setting the targets, now people are noticing him. Before, he was trying them to notice him.
Yeah.
And they went like, because they have so many people doing that.
Yeah. Do you think that there's like a element of artificial kind of injected into, I need to achieve that goal, and then you're less sincere about it and less honest about it because you this is why you're doing this, because I have that goal, rather than why you're doing this because I have some other goal that is not like here and now, right?
But it's because I do things because I love doing them, not because I have to do them.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a slight difference. If you look at in sports, you look at people like when Davy Fitz, when Clare won the first All Ireland hurling, it was immediately, next year we need to win again. So the goal was achieved, but we're on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Like, and it's never enough.
Yes.
There's always
and that takes away the joy of it.
Absolutely.
That takes away joy of it.
Absolutely.
It's interesting, because I had those discussions a lot with my friends who were going fishing, right? And they were always say like, well, they want to be a fishing guide, and they, it's gonna be awesome because all they're gonna be doing, they're gonna be fishing for work. And I was like, no, it's not. Yeah, I would say like, I never want to be a fishing guy. It would totally screwed my fishing, because now I have to go fishing. I have to go with the people that maybe I don't like, or somebody, and it's not fun anymore. How would I relax then? Now I can go fishing, right? If that's my job, it's like, it's done. I'm done. So that's, I get that.
Yeah, and some things you do will turn into a job when you love doing them. Like for me speaking, my mom said to me, like when I asked I asked everyone around me when I was quitting all the system jobs, I was getting out of the rat race, and says, what should I do? My mom says like, well, I used to buy you these big sweets, the gobstoppers when you were 4 years old, just to shut you up. So I was always a talker, and a listener. When people said like, whenever we're in trouble, we come to you because you listen and then you help me fix it. So I'm good at listening, good at talking. So now I'm a life coach. That's what we do, right? So I get paid for that.
Right. Do you love this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Does it not take a joy of what you're doing?
No, not in that. No, I absolutely, because I was here on Saturday and I was here on Sunday when everyone else was watching TV.
Yeah.
I was here because it's what I enjoy doing.
Very good. Very good. So tell me, what's you mentioned that you're running and in your job that kind of influence each other, or maybe
do.
from. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I learned a lot of lessons from running, right? About myself, about for instance, if I do what I love doing, the way I like doing it, I get more results than when I start planning it. So I stopped making plans for what I did in work.
Right.
I just let it flow, do what you enjoy doing most, and then everything evolves naturally. So the business plan that's on my flip chart here in the office now is something that happened in the last week, because naturally I had to get rid of a few things. Because they were not necessarily things I enjoyed doing, but people still associated me with them. So they came to me, took my time, and then I put my time in that, and I need to recover from that.
Yeah.
Whether the things that are there now I really enjoy doing, and I can do them 7 days a week.
Right.
Do you know, so that's a lesson I learned from running. Another thing is to listen to your body. It's okay for me to come, to wake up on a morning on a Tuesday and go like, nah, I don't feel, I would force myself if I go into the office today. So I just check my diary, say like I have one appointment, I go like, I'm really, really sorry, but like I'm going to have to cancel this today because I'm not up for it. And people, surprisingly, most people actually appreciate that when you be honest with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's okay for me then on a Tuesday to go like, I'm listening to my body. I don't want to go to work today, and I don't. So that's another thing I learned from running.
Yeah. But and again, I agree with what you're saying, but there is a certain level of discipline required.
Oh, absolutely.
To not go completely downhill. Yeah. Right? Because you can wake up every day and say, I'm not up for it, right? And then you can spend next 20 days not coming out of bed. So there is an you're required to be honest with yourself.
Yes. And that comes, and you know where that comes from? From the fact that what I do, I love doing.
Yes.
So it's easier to motivate yourself to do something you love doing.
Yes.
Than to do something you feel you have to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If what I did every month, I had a turnover figure I need to reach, then I would be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because that's not the way my brain functions.
Yes.
My brain functions on love, not on targets. I know that for myself.
Yeah.
So it's easier to motivate myself to do something I love doing than to say, like, you need to get 2 more clients to get your target.
Yeah. That even sounds awful, right?
Yeah. It's like, I need you to reach my target. Like,
Yeah,
can you imagine if you say that, if you think that when a client comes in?
Yes,
like, you know,
yes.
you're going to help me reach my target. Like, it's not
yeah.
about the client anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So, absolutely.
Listen, tell me about the injuries. You said that you almost not have injuries at all.
No.
But in general, running is pretty injury-prone sport. Would you agree?
That's
with
what
that?
I was told, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what
And
I
have you
was
seen
always told.
any evidence for that?
Yes, the people who got injured is either because they slightly overdid it,
Mm-hmm.
and okay, there is freak injuries, right? You turn over your ankle,
Yeah.
you know, like you hit something or whatever, like, you know, you twist your ankle or whatever, like that can happen. Okay? But other than that, the people I think I saw who get injured, the majority of them was because they were forcing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? If you run, if you know how to run, if you know how to position yourself, your body is amazing. Actually, your body will get stronger rather than weaker if you run more.
Yes.
It's just when you start forcing yourself, that's where the issue comes.
Yeah.
It's like a river, right? A river will keep running, regardless whether you throw rocks in front of it, it'll just go around it. Right? It's when you start forcing the river, it goes out of the banks and floods your house.
Yes.
If you just let it flow, it'll flow.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same with running, right? If you just let it flow, it'll flow.
Yeah, it's so thank you for that, because this is another thing that I'm quite often talk about when I'm talking about running, like a proper technique for running, right? And I even again, that was on a different podcast. I had a guy who was a triathlete, and we were talking about, you know, how people think like, oh, what do you mean I need to learn how to run? Like everybody knows how to run, right? And he made an excellent point. Like, is it really? We don't know how to run. The only thing we know how to do, like out of the box, out of the womb, is swim. We know how to swim.
Yeah.
We don't know how to run or how to cycle a bicycle. So why people think there's so strange? It's not so strange to learn to ride a bike, but I feel like, oh, it's strange. Like you should be just running. And now when you look at the like a form of people running, this is just. You know, injury in the making. You just can see that. So, can you elaborate? Maybe not elaborate, but tell us how it went for you. For
just ask people.
Right.
Do you know, when you meet people like Martin Club Ireland, and like these are people who've been running for 30, 40 years, like some of them.
Yes.
And you just go like, you just ask them like, any tips? And they say, yeah, I saw you running, Patrick. You bend backwards a bit too much, or you do this too much, and then you just mind it for 2 or 3 months, like you just pay attention to it, and then it becomes a habit, right?
Right.
And I was lucky, I suppose, because I was always told like I had a nice running style. So like maybe it's because I was running as a kid, you know.
And when you were running as a kid, you were running in the club as well, right? So,
I was running cross country with the club. Yeah.
But you could kind of observe how other, and I guess that comes because as a kid you kind of watch
absorb,
other and you know mimic what they do, and that's where I was okay.
But there is people who I've like seen, and you go like their running style isn't right, but that's not because they run wrong. It's because the body is out of alignment.
Yes.
Right. So I don't go to physios. I don't get rubs. I don't do any of that. I told you I'm a non-runner, right? I don't do any of that stuff. I've never had a massage.
That only confirms to me that you just have it from like back in the years.
Yeah.
And that's just with you.
Well, no, the guy that runs the guy that's the record holder in Ireland right now, Dave Brady. Have you heard of Dave Brady?
No.
He's on, what is he now? He must be coming up to 700 or 800 marathons. I don't know. He's on 750 or 700 and whatever marathons, and he's going for 1,000. He's in his mid 60s, like he's 67 or something. And when you meet him, he still has a six pack. It's really funny, like. And but he runs, and he goes like he's never had a massage in his life, ever.
Right.
Not one.
Yeah.
It's really funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
so no, I'm not surprised.
Like,
I'm not surprised.
So, but it's kind of, I think it comes from doing things naturally and letting it go with the flow.
Yeah.
When you do that,
so what advice would you give people who are listening to that now and say like, well, I better check my my running style? But what advice would you give them?
Well, if they're in Limerick, they need to go see Siobhan in Limerick Sports Store. She'll tell you within 2 seconds.
Right.
She's the guru.
And was she gonna put them on a treadmill?
You walk through the shop and she goes like, yeah, you pronate that way. She's that an expert, like, you know.
Oh,
like,
okay.
kind of. But no, my advice would be, if you, for instance, you find that a lot of athletics clubs have open evenings now.
Yes.
Yeah, like an open evening, like Duneen here in Limerick have an open evening on a Tuesday on the track in UL. I say if you go join there and just ask people, like,
just go and ask, can you check my running posture or my technique, how I'm running?
Absolutely, and they won't mind doing it, like, because they literally have open training evenings with athletics clubs. Like, yeah, of course they do. yeah, but ask anyone for help. Like, they normally help you. You know, I think people have a problem with asking for help.
Yeah.
But I always had the reverse. Like, when I ask you for help, you ask me for help. I validate the other person.
People think that this is gonna make them weak, make them look weak when they ask for help. Right?
So it's like, if I ask you for help, Tommy, you should say thank you to me. Because I picked you. I could have picked anybody else, but I picked you to ask for help. Like, so you should say thanks, Partick, for asking me. That's the way I look at it.
Yes.
It's like, I validate you as a person when I ask you for help, right?
Yes, that's true.
So it's a different way of looking at it.
That's true. And so listen. So just to finish off on the subject of the technique of running, what are the most common mistakes? What would you say? For our listeners, like, just check, like, without going to your athletic, like, just check these 3 or 4 things.
Heel striking. That's a big problem, right?
So tell us all about it.
So
please.
When you land on your heel.
Yes.
You know, if people that without rolling, like, they just land on their heel every time, you do that for 26 miles, you're going to be sore the next day. Your glutes are going to be sore. Your quads are going to be sore.
And that messes up your knees as well.
Oh, absolutely. Everything, even your hip. It messes up your hips. It messes up your back. It messes up everything. Right? So heel striking is a big problem.
Yeah. And do you think that this is all for that is like shoes companies are to blame, who are putting these big padded soles on the heel, and you have a Air Max torsion super duper, which is all meant to kind of absorb that,
but it doesn't absorb it completely. Like,
even if it does absorb, then your movement pattern is wrong. Your
position wrong.
Getting deeper into your movement pattern. That is bad.
Yeah. So one thing, and two, like, I've seen people who run straight with a straight back. You know, that's not a good idea either. I often see people, like, and they're running straight. You need to slightly lean into your run.
Right, forward,
small bit, like, you know.
Right.
So one of the good things is, like, I think for beginning runners, people who begin off, park run, couch to 5K, everyone goes to, right, which is great. But the park run is an amazing organization and group of people. Like, I really, really think people should go to park runs because you meet people there from athletics clubs.
Yes,
all the time. There's people from athletics clubs here in Limerick. We have 2 park runs now. One in Mungret and one in the University of Limerick. I know there's one in Listowel as well.
Right.
Isn't there? There's one in Tralee.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
There's loads of park runs around, like, you know. And park run is really easy because everyone goes. There's people who walk, etc. So I would go to your park run, and if you see someone from an athletics club, don't be afraid to ask. They'll help you. They'll always help you. The people who are the organisers of the park run are often runners as well. So they'll help you as well. So that's my advice for beginning runners: is go to a park run.
Yeah,
that'll start you off, and go on the open sessions of your athletics club and ask.
Yeah,
don't be afraid to ask.
So essentially, the advice is to get your running technique right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before
because it'll add to the joy, and it'll add to your joy, and which means you'll be able to do things that otherwise you wouldn't. Like, anyone who can run a 10K can run a half marathon.
Yeah.
Anyone who can run a half marathon can run a full marathon, and anyone who can run a full marathon can run a 50K.
Yeah.
Right. So it's quite simple.
Yeah, it is. So go back to the heel striking a little bit. So what's a proper what's the name? Stride, or like what's the name?
I actually don't know the name for it, but I call it heel striking. You see the people who land on their heel.
Yeah. So how you should land on the ball on your feet.
I roll. I have a rolling stride, so it lands softly on the heel and then rolls through.
Okay.
Do you know it does this? Like,
yes,
it rolls through.
Yes,
that's the way I run.
Okay, and is it like then you're running on the balls of your feet?
I run on the outside of the feet.
Okay,
I land on the outside of my feet.
Okay,
and I've never had problems with it.
Okay.
So everyone has their own strike.
Okay, because I heard that how the foot is built is that you're supposed to land on the ball of your foot, and then there is like a massive tendon that goes from on the bottom of your feet, that goes from, I think, ball of your feet to the heel. And that massive tendon is designed to take all the energy of the hit. And this is exactly when the people are heel striking, that the whole energy that tendon's supposed to absorb is absorbed by knees.
Sure.
And that's what's happening.
See, now I've learned something from you.
Oh, wow. No, but I suppose that to your point, it's not one proper way. There's other ways. So unless there is certainly the bad way, but then not necessarily is one absolutely proper way.
No, there's loads of ways people run. People run differently. Yeah, I meet people at marathons who run on their tippy toes.
Oh, really?
Who land on their tippy toes, and they've run 50, 60 marathons with that without getting injured. So
right.
Yeah.
And have you ever tried barefoot running?
No.
And have you heard about it? What do you think about it?
I know people who've done it.
Right.
The barefoot. I met people who've ran barefoot and they said it's absolutely joyful.
Yeah. They ran barefoot, or they had this five fingers shoes.
The 5 finger shoes. Yeah. And they really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So.
I love the 5 finger shoes. I went for a run a couple of times in them, but I love them just for exercises, for the gym and for all that. It kind of feels better.
When you go off into trails though, have you gone off into trails with them?
No.
Because I've gotten people who said like they had sore feet afterwards. Like,
but there are those 5 fingers for trail running.
Oh,
as well.
Are there? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
they even have a to minus 20 degrees and off the track and so on.
I presume they'd be better for running through water and all that. Because it becomes less heavy.
Yeah.
On your feet, like.
Yeah. I think there's like the theory behind it is like you engaging your fingers as well to carry mass of your body, whatever else.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So listen, when I walk in here today, you're showing me a calendar.
That was I didn't know I had it in the office. Yeah.
Yeah. With all the marathons. So how many was it in a year?
Last year, 43. 43
marathons in a year.
Yes.
Wow. So it's like 4 a month. Almost. How? And this wasn't planned. It just
ended up going to the 100. I did my 100 in November last year, up in Ballina in Mayo.
So then, when you look back, it's like, how the hell that happened?
Yeah, no, it just happened. Yeah, it was like 4 here, 3 there, 2 there. Or like when you start, when people go like, actually, what usually happened was, I look at my diary, go like, I have no clients this weekend. Where's the marathon?
Okay,
and then just go.
Okay, so you're really and truly doing that out of the love for running.
Yeah, absolutely. And
because you're not planning that as like I need to hit 40 marathon mark.
I wasn't actually, no. At one stage last year, I had made the decision to run my 100 in Ballina, and then I needed to start to plan my marathons, and that's where the joy just a little bit disappeared. Some of them were not fun.
Yeah,
they were just numbers
because you have to do it. Number 99.
So when the 100 was done, I made a promise. I said, from now on, I only do marathons I enjoy. And I've actually started doing 5Ks and 10Ks and did a half marathon. And, I just do the runs I enjoy now.
Yeah.
And regardless of what the distance is.
Yeah.
So my next run is a 10K in Saturday week. Not this Saturday. Sunday week, the 7th. And that's a 10K.
And how do you compare running, like for you mentally, running 10K versus running like a longer distance, 50K or something?
The fun thing is like I just see how I feel in the morning, and then I can do like, do you know what? I'm going to give it welly today. I feel good. And a 10K then becomes kind of like a sprint exercise. You give it welly. Like, some days I go like, there's a friend of mine. I haven't seen them for a while. I'll run with them.
Yeah,
I know they run slower than me, but like I'll run with them and then I'll keep them company. And then sometimes maybe they run a PB because I'm pushing them a bit.
Oh yeah. I know. That happens. They don't even know that.
That's it.
You keep them busy, distracted with the talk.
So it's good fun,
Yeah,
it's good fun.
And have you thought about coaching for running?
No,
why not? I'm
busy enough.
You're a coach, and
I know.
So you do a little bit. This is kind of, you can argue, it's a little bit like a coaching. If you run with your friend and you push him a little bit.
It's kind of half hypnosis as well.
Yeah.
Which is what I do anyway. Do you know what the answer to that is? I don't have time. I'm full up. I got rid of a few things I'm not doing anymore because like I want to invest my time actually in a few things. Running is on the board, by the way. So I'm a runner. That's what I do. What I might do again is start blogging again, because I blogged before, and I actually was in 2016 got shortlisted for the top 5 sports blogs in Ireland.
Yeah, is that blog still up?
It's still there, but like
tell us about it.
It's called howmanybelgians.blogspot.com, I think. Yeah. It's like, how many Belgians does it take to change a habit? You know, because that's where I'm from. You know, that was the name of the blog, right? So I really enjoyed that for the time, and it wasn't about me necessarily. It was about everyone I met. It was about where I went running, about how the atmosphere was, what did we see, etc. With a few pictures attached to it, and it was like more about who I met.
Right.
And all that, like, so, and which races.
And was it done like when you start running, kind of complementary to your newly found love with running, and you started that blog?
It started off as a life coaching blog, and then it turned into a running blog.
Oh, okay. So this is very recent. Like, I mean, like, it's not like a 10-year. How long? Maybe I'm just asking. How long when you started that blog?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But I remember 2 years I wrote in it, really. It was 2015, 2016.
Right. So the blog is still there. It's kind of dormant, but you have a plan. Even you're not planning, but you're
I might start. People have asked me
to
start blogging again.
Okay.
Seriously, people have asked me, like, so are you going to start blogging again? And I've written 2 or 3 articles, and then, like, you know, I'm so busy with doing stuff I love that sometimes. It's about having time. It's like I'm learning Spanish. I have 2 radio programs. I run 2 businesses. I run marathons, and you know, that kind of thing. Like, so it's about
So you have no intention into taking anything like you were gonna stay runner. Yes. You have no intention to become more competitive.
No.
It's like a pure, like, fishing for me, like a pure love and enjoyment, and I'm not.
Actually, Dublin Marathon I've planned because you have to enter 6 months in advance. Yeah. So I'm entered again for Dublin Marathon.
Yeah.
I do a 10K now on Sunday week, and then Dublin Marathon after that. And my friend, where I did my 100th marathon, is doing back-to-back again in Mayo. So if Dublin Marathon goes okay, I might go up to Mayo and do them back-to-back there.
Right. So this is what you do, or you might do.
I might do. The back-to-back isn't booked yet. I said to Cesare as well, I said, like, I might come down in November.
Yeah.
And then if that goes well...
Do you find that the people kind of like, well, Patrick, can you just commit and that you're coming?
No. Not in that kind of world. People are okay with it, like, you know. And they kind of know me as well. So now I said I do what I like doing. I like going down to Ballina in Mayo. It's one of my favourite places. The 2 people, Cesare and his wife Daria, are wonderful people as well. They organise all the races up there. It's really, really wonderful. It's by Balik Forest as well, by the River Foy. It's absolutely gorgeous up there. So I enjoy going there. And then the week after that, we have one in 6 Mile Bridge in County Clare. So I'm just like, now you made me think already. Like, I'm already 4 marathons.
So is it like it is all planned? It is all planned. You just don't want to admit it.
But sometimes I've actually had marathons I paid for and didn't go. There was 2 marathons I had paid for, and I just didn't go. Because I didn't feel like it on that weekend. Before I went to my 100th marathon, I didn't do that. Now I literally have the self-power, like, where I go, like, nah, I don't feel like going tomorrow. Then you don't. Like, it's not that big a deal. You know? And
how you, like, so the question I have, like, how you deal with the weather? Is the weather a factor that you said, like, oh, I'm not gonna do this because there is raining or something, or is it like no factor?
To me, a factor is a big word, because I run in all weather, but I prefer this time of year, October to February.
Oh, really?
That's my favourite part of the year. In Marathon Club Ireland, if you meet people like that and you ask them about Partick weather, they'll tell you. They call it Partick weather. When it starts raining, I'm out.
Oh.
I love running in the rain.
Really?
Yeah, as soon as it rains, I'm out. I'm gone.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And cold.
What's the reasoning behind that?
I have no idea. But again, my mum is still alive, and she said, like, when you were 4 or 5 years old and it rained, you were in the back garden. So it's just something I've always done, apparently. Yeah. I like this time of year. I like cold. I like rain. I like the winter season. It's just like, I really enjoy it. Yeah.
That's why you're for so many years in Ireland that you enjoy.
Must be.
You have a plenty of.
Must be.
You don't have this awful sun and hot and all.
I slow down in the summer because of the warm. I can run in it.
Yeah.
But I slow down.
Right.
Absolutely. So I prefer this kind of weather.
Right, that's fascinating, because obviously you don't have any, or maybe you do have any, like a bucket list runs or marathons or events that you would like to take part in once, or sometime.
Well, do you know what? There's a few that I've seen on, because they're most of my half of my social media is about running, because that's kind of normal. Like,
yeah.
So you see people going to runs and go like, oh yeah, there's one what was on last weekend on the North Coast. Northern Ireland, the Extreme Coast Challenge. I said, like, 1 year they run on the beach into the water over rocks and all that. I like that. The Clareburn Marathon is my favourite marathon in Ireland of the ones I've done. That starts in Ballyvaughan, and it's 2/3 off-road up trails into the mountains.
Yeah,
and I prefer that.
Right,
they're my favourite runs.
So running
anything
is,
up
is
trail
what you
running,
prefer.
like I might start looking up trail runs and stuff like that. I might go actually. I have a few people I know who are involved in the IMRA. The Irish Mountain Running Association. You have the Munster Mountain Running Association.
Yeah.
So I might start going to a few of those.
Right.
Run up mountains and stuff like that on trails.
And tell me, is the technique of running different? How does it differ from your regular,
shorter steps?
Shorter.
When you're running up mountain, up trails, there's rocks sticking out, there's roots of trees sticking out, so you need to pay more attention. But you do it by taking shorter steps and being lighter on your feet.
Yes,
that's what it is. That's all it is.
So you cannot get into this meditation state like you can, because I presume, like, on the road you can just you have to pay attention more.
It's a different state of meditation.
You should take on cycling, man.
Yeah. Excellent. Especially being Belgian, right?
There you go.
I know, yeah. That's the funny bit. But I actually, when I've trails near my house, and I can run trails kinda by the river for about 5-6 miles.
Yes.
And back, and that's literally when I just everything just disappears.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a contact with nature.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I'm an outdoors person.
Yeah, always outdoors. You're in the right place, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is interesting, because quite often when I talk about cycling or running, and like, okay, this is something that happens many times, and I'm always saying, like, oh, Tommy's outdoors. We're pushing boundary. What's outdoors? And we had the people who were flying drones in the outdoors and so on. But sometimes I'm just thinking, like, well, outdoors is really about the nature and kind of contact with nature and all that. And when you're running in the city or cycling in the city, is it really outdoors? What do you think?
It's funny, all right, because when I run through Cork City Marathon or Dublin or Limerick, I actually didn't do Limerick last year because I don't enjoy the route, but that's just me. And it's different. I enjoy it less. I must admit, I enjoy running through cities less than I do through the countryside. And I'm a city boy. I grew up in Brussels. I think.
Maybe that's why
this is going to be on a podcast, so people are not going to like that. But Limerick's not really a big city, right? It's like a small,
it is
place. Like, it's a small city.
I confirm.
It's a small city. But I'm a city boy, and I still don't like running through cities.
Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah,
because I'm the same, right? And it was part of the thing when I arrived to Ireland. It's like, wow, look at this countryside and all this. So perhaps it's it's precisely because you're a city boy.
But I'm still thinking of moving back. Well, not thinking. Myself and Maura, we are going to move to Dublin within the next 2 years. And I know every time I go to Dublin, I feel alive, right? But when I run in the countryside, I feel alive as well.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of like, it's not an escape, it's just a different thing.
Yeah, I think it's a different thing, because like when you live, like, no doubt in the city, you have more opportunities, more things happening, you have more social life and more of these things.
Yeah.
But then when you go for a run or when you go for that activity, this is different thing you're looking for, right? And
so then when you want to go run, you go run around Hote, or Clontarf by the beach in Dublin, or you go to Hote Summit. And there's beautiful parts in Dublin to run as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's different. Yeah, no, to answer your question, no, I prefer country running than city running.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you're thinking about venturing into kind of triathlon territory or anything like that?
You're going to have to convince me about the bike, because the bike is stopping me from going into that.
Already? Not swimming?
No. I'm a confident swimmer.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
My parents were pretty good. My mum is 75. She still goes to the aqua gym in the swimming pool. Like, you know, they pushed me into the pool, and like, you know, I was swimming since I was a child. You know, like so. I could swim a mile without doing much training.
Yeah.
I'm not saying fast, but I could.
Yeah.
But it's the bike that would stop me. I think I think I would just throw the thing in the ditch after 20k.
Yeah.
It's just like.
I know. This is actually not the first. You are not the first runner who kind of have this ingrained hate. Maybe it's too much of the word, but like
no, it's not a hate, a dislike.
Dislike for a bike or for a cycle. I wonder why. Whether because you're so stationary on the saddle.
Maybe
is that the case?
Maybe.
Is that the?
Because I can tell you that like the only sports channel I subscribe to, because I don't watch TV really. That much is Eurosport, and the only reason I have Eurosport on my laptop is to watch the cycling, because I like watching it.
You like watching cycling?
I follow the Giro d'Italia, the Vuelta, the World Champions, the Tour of Flanders, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. I can name them all. Like. Yeah, I follow them passionately. I can name you all the cyclists, their first names, where they were born, you know, but I don't like doing it.
That's very interesting. Oh, and when you're watching that, you don't have this like it's a cool kind of cool.
No,
thing.
I understand they're enjoying it. Like, it's just I'm a runner, right?
Got it.
I'm a runner, and that's fine.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, yes.
All right, Patrick. Any concluding thoughts?
Well, what I would say to people, when you want to move outdoors and when you want to do a sport, don't stick with a sport just for the sake because everyone else is doing it. Find something. Try stuff. I tried golf, didn't like it. I tried bike, didn't like it. I tried running, I loved it, and I'm still running. So try stuff until you find something that you go like, oh, geez, I could do this. When the weather's bad, when it's raining, when there's hail coming out of the sky, you still go like, oh, I'm going for a run, mate. You know, like, just find something you really, really, truly enjoy doing, and because it becomes self-motivational.
Yes.
You won't have to push yourself to do things. Find something you love doing and listen to your body. Don't force it.
These are words of a wise man.
Thank you,
Patrick. How to get in touch with you, and how to if people want to follow you on social media or anything?
On social media, it's just my name. You just Google Patrick Mercie, Mercie. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter and on Instagram.
All right.
And I have my own YouTube channel with the videos, but they're business. Well, not business. They're life coaching videos.
Okay.
I have my own YouTube channel as well with them. So.
Perfect.
Loads of ways.
Patrick, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Tommy.
And that was another episode of Tommy's Outdoors Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Outdoors Podcast. Like us on Facebook at Tommy's Outdoors. Follow us on Instagram at Tommy's Outdoors. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yes, people, YouTube channel. Tommy's Outdoors YouTube channel. And obviously, subscribe on any and all podcasting platforms to never miss an episode again. And that's it. Until the next time, bye-bye.